Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I have the pinnacle of wear OS smartwatch, the latest TicWatchPro 3 to review. So let's get started. If it's your first time on my channel, please consider subscribing as I do regular videos for various smartwatches like this one, smartphone reviews, tech tutorials and much more. You'll find a dedicated playlist for TicWatchPro videos, so be sure to check it out. I pre-ordered the Mobvoi's latest TicWatchPro 3 as soon as it was announced, and finally it is here with me, and I am surprised how improved it is. And in today's video I'll review it, starting with unboxing and price, specs, new features and my preliminary review. I have reviewed the previous version, that is the TicWatchPro 2020, and the video is linked at the end of this video, which you can check it out once you're done watching this one. In terms of unboxing, the box is pretty much the same as the previous TicWatchPro 2020. Somehow the box of the TicWatchPro 2020 did not distinctively call out its name, so it was a bit hard to discern, but the TicWatchPro 3 clearly says 3 and GPS. So yes, it does not have 4G LTE. There is nothing on the sides, and at the very bottom there are few barcodes, details and the content of the box. This time around there is nothing on the top, and at the back there is a list of all the features, but considering TicWatchPro 3 versus the TicWatchPro 2020, the noticeable difference is the latest Qualcomm Snapdragon 4100 processor. In fact, this is the first watch to have it. The addition of the HD heart rate, stress and sleep tracking, blood oxygen sensor, more workout option, the audio recorder and obvious design changes. Other than that, it's similar to the TicWatchPro 2020. Inside the box, both of these smartwatches are presented in the same way. The content is also about the same except the charger and the product guide. There is a thick product guide in TicWatchPro 2020, which is shrunken down to less than half on the TicWatchPro 3. But the obvious difference is charger. TicWatchPro 2020 has a bulky charging brick, which is now only a charging pin on the TicWatchPro 3, which is certainly better than the charging brick, but I wish Mobvoi could get a wireless charger. I think just like smartphones, nowadays smartwatch also need to be standardized in terms of charger. So any watch or phone can be universally charged with any charger. That's again my thought. Now let's have a look at the body of this watch. Now right off the back, TicWatchPro 3 looks more sleek, slim and feels lightweight compared to the TicWatchPro 2020. It has the stainless steel body with plastic at the back. It has slightly different LCD display element position versus the TicWatchPro 2020. The front glass is not sunken anymore, unlike the TicWatchPro 2020. So it is now more prone to scratch and scuffs. On the side it has the same 2-button layout with a microphone in the center, but it definitely is slim when compared to the TicWatchPro 2020. On the other side it now has a loudspeaker, which thank goodness Mobvoi moved it from a weird location on the TicWatchPro 2020, which made it sound muffled on the TicWatchPro 2020. Finally, at the back there are now more LED sensors for accurate heart rate and SpO2 monitoring. Charging pin still remains at the same place, but this time around the charger is not a brick, but it's a magnetic pin, which is fairly strong. Now lastly, the bands. They are about the same interchangeable 22mm bands, but instead of a genuine leather band, it now is a silicone strap with woven design at the border to give it a look of a leather band, but it is apparently not, which is okay for me. So there are obvious differences between both of these smartwatches, even in terms of exterior, looks and element placement. With all that being said, let's talk about the price and specs. So this TicWatch Pro 3 is available for 399 Canadian dollar, and the TicWatch Pro 2020 is slightly cheaper at 367.53 Canadian dollar. So there is not a huge difference in terms of price. However, if you were to go with the 4G LTE variant in the TicWatch Pro 2020, it will be about the same as the TicWatch Pro 3. Either way, you can get 5% off if you were to purchase this smartwatch or any other Mobvoi products from the link that I have placed in the description of this video. So make sure to take the advantage of it. I'm not going to show the entire setup process as I have already done a video for it linked up in the card section, which you can check it out once you're done watching this one. Now in terms of specs, you can pause the video and read through the entire spec list for both these smartwatches displayed on the side of the video, but to narrow it down, the distinctive difference is that the TicWatch Pro 3 is now packed with the latest and the fastest Qualcomm Snapdragon 4100 processor, which is faster in both performance and GPU, and it is 25% more energy efficient than the other Wear OS smartwatches that runs on the Snapdragon 3100 processor. However, keep in mind that the TicWatch Pro 2020 runs on even an older version, that is the Snapdragon 2100. Do I feel the difference? I will say yes, as the TicWatch Pro 3 sometimes does feel faster than the TicWatch Pro 2020. However, I have done an entire video on how to make any Wear OS smartwatch instantly fast, linked in the card section. You can check it out once you are done watching this one. TicWatch Pro 3 now has double the storage. It has 8 gigs of onboard storage versus only 4 gigs on the TicWatch Pro 2020. But with the Google Play Music gone and no YouTube Music app yet available on any Wear OS smartwatch, transferring local music file is not possible unless via a third-party app, which is a bummer. I have done videos about Spotify, music transfer, image transfer, and other helpful tips, which you can find in the TicWatch Pro playlist linked at the end of this video. So if you have a Wear OS smartwatch or are planning to get one, make sure to save that playlist as there are like 30 plus videos in it. In terms of display, the TicWatch Pro 3 now has 454 by 454 pixel resolution, so the display does feel sharp and crisp. They both have the same LCD, FSD and display, but the TicWatch Pro 3 has slightly different element placement. TicWatch Pro 3 now has the SpO2, that is the blood oxygen sensor, which works great. Both these watches sadly still has the Bluetooth 4.2. They have the same Wi-Fi, NFC, other sensors like accelerometer, gyroscope, pedometer. However, the heart rate sensor is now more enhanced with more LEDs for accurate reading on the TicWatch Pro 3 versus the TicWatch Pro 2020. The GPS on TicWatch Pro 3 is also more advanced with more accurate positioning by the fourth tracking system called Quashi Zenith satellite system, which is a Japanese satellite to augment the US-based global positioning system. The battery size has now bumped up from 415 mAh to 577 mAh on top of the power efficient Snapdragon 4100. So this watch should go significantly more than the TicWatch Pro 2020, and so far on the second day of use it looks quite good, and I think I can easily go 2+ days with my current usage, which was definitely not the case with the TicWatch Pro 2020. By the way, I have everything turned on like the Wi-Fi, location, Bluetooth, brightness, etc. Yes, both these watches have always on display, but if you were to turn it on, the LCD display will turn off and it will significantly affect the battery life. Finally, I am really pleased with the speaker placement on TicWatch Pro 3 as it does not sound muffled unlike the TicWatch Pro 2020. With all that being said, let's talk about some new features on the TicWatch Pro 3, like the menu layout is now a 2-row icon versus the list layout on the TicWatch Pro 2020, which is what I personally like. Now finally, you can add up to 10 tiles versus just the 5 tiles, so you can now have more info at glance easily accessible. As always, the Google Assistant works absolutely fabulous. Check out the detailed review I did on Google Assistant and what it can do linked in the card section, which you can check it out once you're done watching this one. With Google's Wear OS, you can certainly add more third-party apps, games, and watch faces, some of which I have already reviewed, and you will find them in the playlist linked at the end of this video. But by default, you can now even get mechanical watch face like this one and many more. Now Mobvoi has added the Tic Apps on top of the Google apps like the Tic Health for fit goals, Tic Exercise for fit workout, Tic Pulse for the fit heart rate, Tic Breath for fit breath, and additional apps like the Tic Sleep, which is not available on Google counterpart, and it works surprisingly well. I ended up using for one night, and from what I can see, it did a good job with detecting different stages, heart rate throughout the night with the highest and the lowest. I'm still testing it out, so stay tuned by subscribing as more videos will be coming out eventually. Now there is the Tic Zen app, which is a stress management app. This is something what Fitbit Sense also has emphasized on. Now here is where you can get your stress level instantly by this option, and if you got a high number, which means high stress, you can instantly access Tic Breath right beside it to calm you down. Speaking of Tic Breath, you can now get guided sessions from 1 to 5 minutes, which is great. It even gives you a haptic vibration to inhale and no vibration to exhale, so you don't even have to look at the watch. And at the end, it displays your heart rate. Now other latest feature is the blood oxygen sensor, which measures your SpO2. I have reviewed SpO2 recently for the Fitbit Sense, the Apple Watch Series 6, Huawei Watch GT2, which you can find linked in the card section, and this feels on par with others. But in my opinion, Apple Watch Series 6 nailed it in terms of the SpO2 measurement. Moving on, Tic Hearing, which is basically to detect noise level in your work environment. This feature is also available on the recently announced Apple Watch Series 6, and it's really good to have. And it's not just the noise level in decibel, but it gives you a context to that number, which you can find in the Information tab. Moving on, my favorite part is the voice memo, which is ingenious. Here is where you can take audio notes and then transcribe it to plain text. Yes, and that is done from the Mobvoice app on your phone. And yes, this is also available when paired with an iPhone. In fact, I have paired this watch with an iPhone all this time. And all these features work like a charm on iPhone. So you can see I took this audio sample where my kids were crying in the background, but it still transcribed precisely what I said. And I'm really impressed. And there are a lot of functional implications of this feature. Now all this is great, but one major drawback why I personally don't prefer Wear OS smartwatch is for the workout tracking. I usually like to auto track my strength training moves, which is done perfectly on my Samsung Galaxy Watch 3, the Active 2 and the Fitbit Sense, where I just start lifting weights and it gives my heart rate change during the workout and calories burnt. And if you are someone like me who prefers to track entire workout versus each rep, then this is not for you. By the way, you can track each rep if you want to, but unfortunately on TicWatch or any Google Wear OS watch, you have to go by sets. You can't do a general strength training workout. Like I ended up doing a high intensity 45-minute workout and I forgot to pause and play or change each set. And you can see on my phone that it only recorded duration, average heart rate, and it shows only 12 calories burned, which is certainly not true. But on the flip side, these watches are great for run, walk, jog, and other steady state workout tracking, but not for strength training in my opinion. But I am just pleased to see Mobvoi implementing its own Tic Apps on top of Google Apps, which I find more contemporary, and I tend to use them more over the Google's fitness app, which I know is subjective, so let me know in the comments down below which apps do you prefer to use. Finally, the speaker and microphone is of no use for Bluetooth calling when the watch is paired to an iPhone. It works great when paired with an Android phone, but not with an iPhone. Even the notifications are limited. You can't read full messages and you can't interact with any notifications like replying, likes, delete, etc. This is not just TicWatch. Any watch except Apple Watch is not allowed to interact with notification when paired with an iPhone. Otherwise, how would Apple sell their smartwatches? Just kidding. With that being said, here is my final preliminary verdict. TicWatchPro 3 is certainly an overall better Wear OS smartwatch to have. It finally looks sleek and slim with bold and imposing look. It has all the bells and whistles like the SpO2 sensor, enhanced heart rate tracking, top of the line power efficient processor with double the storage, awesome Tic apps on top of the built-in Google Fitness app, which I personally prefer more over the stock Google Fitness app, stress level monitoring, noise level monitoring, ingenious voice memo that can be transcribed to plain text, and much more. This does make it the best Wear OS smartwatch for 2020 in my opinion. But should you upgrade from the previous TicWatch Pro 2020, or even if you own other Wear OS smartwatch like the Fossil Gen 5, should you upgrade to TicWatch Pro 3? I will say no, you don't need to, as apart from the SpO2 sensor, double the storage, enhanced heart rate and GPS tracking, newer processor and the Tic Health app, you're not missing out a whole lot. I'm eager to see Mobvoi or any other Wear OS smartwatch manufacturer to add ECG. However, I will give credit to Mobvoi as it is the first Wear OS manufacturer to get 4G LTE on their TicWatch Pro 2020, as no other Wear OS watches has it, and also the Snapdragon 4100 processor and the SpO2 monitor. So Mobvoi seems to be ahead in the game of Wear OS smartwatches. Please make sure you subscribe, as I'll be doing more videos of this, including all its features and compare it against the other smartwatches, as if you are a follower you know that I talk a lot of smartwatches on this channel. With that being said, I really hope you found this video helpful. If you did, then please give this video a thumbs up, it really means a lot. Also follow me on my other social media network for early preview to upcoming videos and free giveaways. Links are in the description of all my videos. Thanks so much for watching and take care. I'll catch you guys in the next one.